Time to check in with CTV tech analyst Carmi Levy, who joins us every Thursday afternoon. Carmi, I want to start by talking about Apple, because typically when we talk about Apple, the news is, well, they have iPhones, are making $1 gazillion. Then all of a sudden, Donald Trump comes along, talks about maybe unless they move their production, maybe the smartphone's going to start costing you $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000. But then Apple, not to be deterred, I guess, is announcing something called a smart home hub. And I'm wondering exactly what that is and why don't I need one?
Basically, if you've ever used a smart screen like Google's Nest Hub or Amazon's Echo Show, essentially it's like a smart speaker, but it has a screen on it so you can see what's on it. This would be like a supersized version of that. It would be almost like if the iPad tablet and the HomePod smart speaker kind of got smushed together and created one common product. So, but of course, this being Apple, it would be a lot more expensive than Google's and Amazon's options. And of course, it would be capable of a lot more. So there's a guy by the name of Mark Gurman. He's an analyst. He works for Bloomberg. Anytime he predicts something about Apple, it usually comes true. So he's pretty well respected. He is now predicting that Apple is going to release a smart home hub later this year at the earliest. And they're saying there'll be two phases to it. Initially, they're going to release a lower end version, which kind of looks like a Google smart screen. And then the real exciting thing is after about a year or two, they'll release a more advanced version that has a robotic arm that allows it to move around your desk and do things for you. So,
a what?
A robotic arm. So, like, essentially, it would be able to move things around your desk or conduct certain tasks. Yeah, it's
okay.
Typical Apple. This will not be a bargain device, and of course, this also being Apple, they're not saying anything. But the truth of the matter is, we've reached peak iPhone. Sales of the iPhone are not growing anymore. Everyone who wants a smartphone already has one.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Apple's.
I was going to say, because at the same time, you're right, that market's kind of been saturated. But suddenly I'm starting to see people, question Apple as to they've fallen, first of all, behind in the AI race. They're losing some of their edge, is the question being asked.
Yeah, I mean, their last really successful product release or new category was the Apple Watch, and that was 10 years ago. The Vision Pro, which was supposed to be a kind of a virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality headset, didn't exactly light the world on fire, but that's going to take a long time to build in the market. It's a radical new kind of device. And so, no, you're right. Apple has not sort of had this sort of massive breakout hit recently, and it's doing well. It's still incredibly profitable, still one of the biggest companies in the world, but it certainly isn't Steve Jobs level of magic. And so it needs to find that next grand slam. It needs to figure out what that next, really cool product that everyone's got to have and has to buy a new version of every 2 or 3 years is going to be. And the hope is that, certainly wasn't headsets that we wear. The hope is that it'll be a screen that we stick on our desk. Let
me move on from that to talk about something we often talk about, passwords, which people take for granted. We know people get hacked all the time. So Chrome, so this is Google's web browser, has got an idea for how to do this for you automatically and change them?
Yep. So if it finds out that your password has been hacked, you will get a message from Chrome. And of course, it has to be within this browser, won't work in any other. And it will say, your password has been hacked. Do you want me to change it? And you make the setting, you say yes. And then from that point forward, whenever it discovers that, Aaron's password has been hacked, it'll go and it'll create a smart password, a secure password for you that replaces the one that has been breached. And so it removes the human out of the equation. It automates the process of changing your password, which we know is one of the major reasons why when there is a security breach, when there is a large database that gets compromised, because we don't change our passwords, that's when we get victimized. This can really cut down on that and make us a lot safer digitally. But we got to use Chrome. We got to turn this feature on.
Okay. And then the next one, I guess, would be good for Superman. Infrared contact lenses that will let you see in the dark. Is there big demand for these, is there?
Well, I mean, there should be, but, if you look at, for example, like take a look at a search and rescue helicopter pilot in the Canadian Armed Forces. Those night vision goggles, they're really awesome, but look at, they're really big, they're really expensive. They have to be hooked up to a power supply because they use a lot of energy. They're really not feasible for consumer use. And so researchers at the University of Science and Technology of China figured out a way to get that that sort of night vision goggles sort of capability built into not a giant helmet-mounted apparatus, but contact lenses. So the cool thing here is that it allows you to see in the dark. You can even see if your eyes are closed. It'll actually detect even through your lids, which is kind of cool. Yeah, which is really neat. And in testing, they tested it on both humans and mice. The humans, of course, were able to say, yeah, I was able to see. Mice, of course, couldn't say, but they were able to measure their brainwave activity. And apparently in their optical centers, they showed activity where otherwise there would be none. So this stuff works. We can't buy it yet. It's still research only. But this could make a really big difference in, say, the visually impaired. Certain kinds of visual impairments this can significantly benefit, as well as, search and rescue teams and things like that. You no longer have to have this expensive helmet thing. You just stick your contact lenses in, go to work, save some lives.
Yeah, I take back my opening comment then. I thought this was just a consumer product. Here's the next thing you want to buy to have. But no, there are clear, serious applications to this. So I take that back.
Absolutely. Okay. But, let's be clear. If the price comes down enough at some point, and hopefully it will, I think we'll be buying those in a Best Buy as well.
I just like to see the video of the guy trying to put a contact lens in a mouse. That's what I would like to see. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And is the mouse happy about this?
Probably not. Then the next story, while we still have a minute here, I want to get to this. So the state of Texas, and there's been so much discussion about, social media for kids and schools and all that kind of stuff. They're getting ready to ban social media for anyone under the age of 18.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of bans. Florida has a social media ban for under 14. Australia has a nationwide ban for under 16. But this is the first time that we've ever seen a state go all the way up to age 18. It has been, they're moving it through sort of the state Senate, and it's one step closer to becoming law. How I feel about a ban, it's good that we're discussing this because social media is terrible for our kids' mental health. Government should be getting involved as well as parents and caregivers, but let's not kid ourselves. A ban doesn't work. A ban makes for great political headlines, but kids are really smart. They'll always figure out ways around it, and parents still need to be having those conversations with their kids to learn appropriate social media use. And you don't become a great digital citizen by having a ban until you're 18 and then magically you pick up a smartphone and start using it. It has to be gradual.
By the way, I guess the problem with this for those that have already done or are implementing or about to is how do you enforce this?
Yeah, there is no technology that can sort of cover an entire state or equal sized jurisdiction. Governments have a difficult time figuring out my home address. So for them to be able to determine when my kid wants to use social media, good luck to that.
All right, we got to leave it at that. Carmi, I thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron. Have a great one.
You too.